I mean, I've been doing pretty good.
Monica gave birth to baby Layla in early October. Today, Monica is back at her alternative high school to take the math basic skills test for the 4th time.
Mommy's gonna finish school just for you. What are you
As
doing?
tiny 3-week-old Layla opens her eyes on her new life, she knows nothing of her mother's story.
I was actually born in Mexico, and I actually did cross over illegally when I was 3.5 years old.
While Monica is now in this country legally, she spent a number of years as an illegal immigrant.
Well, my mom got involved with a man, and they got together, and what he would do is that during the summer, he would always go up to North Dakota to work in the fields. And so then it's like, we started moving around a lot. And I mean a lot. Like in total, I think I've been to about 19 different high schools.
At 14, Monica started on a journey of drug abuse.
I actually did it more because I actually wanted to fit in. Like, I mean, basically, I couldn't fit in with the popular kids because, I wasn't rich enough and I didn't have like all the money and all the materials. The smart kids, I felt as though like the only people that I could actually fit in with was what they would call the rejects. We were going through a very hard time because of the abusive relationship that my mother was in. A lot of that abuse is actually directed towards me. Then I went up to my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm like, look what he's telling me. I'm like, tell him to stop. And she was like, she just looked at me. She looked down and I was like, are you serious? And then I looked at him and I was like, you know what? I'm like, I'm not a hoe. I'm not a bitch. I'm not a slut. And I'm not worthless. I'm like, I am going to make something out of myself and I'm going to be a good person, unlike you.
The abuse became more aggressive. Monica and her mom fled to a shelter in North Dakota, then Minnesota. Following eviction, they moved to a West Metro suburb where she tried to enter high school. With no transcripts, she would have to start from scratch and was referred to an alternative high school. After a back injury, Monica became addicted to painkillers.
Like, I just noticed that they just made me feel really relaxed. And, when I was on narcotics, like, I wasn't feeling angry all the time or depressed all the time. Like, I was just feeling very relaxed and very good. And I was like, wow, like, I really like this, I would be hopping around from emergency room to emergency room. And it was just so surprising because it was like, I was just so surprised at how easy it was to get those painkillers. Like, no joke. It was just incredibly easy.
Monica spent a short time in drug rehab. On the day of her release from rehab, she became pregnant. She returned to the alternative school.
And even though, I might have gone through hell and back, I have that strength and I have that capability to be able to move forward. And I'm going to take those, Like, I'm not going to be like that type of person that just lets opportunities slip by. And, I mean, I don't know. I think it's, coming to an alternative school has definitely been a very good experience for me. My advice is just to not give up because there are good people out there and there are programs out there that are really, committed to helping you. You just got to go out there and find them.
I mean, my view of life is like completely different, now that she's actually born. And it's like I will keep, heading forward and, doing everything that I have to do to be able to provide a better life for her. And that's really all that matters to me. I mean, because, she's my world.
I'm a really outgoing, weird, kind of like friendly, kind, awesome person, I want to say. That's what people tell me. Very weird too. But I guess in a going like random bursts of like randomness, weirdness. I don't know. People's always like, Derek, you should be a comedian, and I'm like, ha ha ha. I don't know. I want to be a chef. I don't know. I walk around the school wearing a Mardi Gras mask. I'll come to school with like my hair all different out. I don't know, I could just be myself and no one would judge me for it.
Derek spent 11 years in his mainstream school. Like many other students, his troubles began in middle school.
I felt like I started falling behind a lot when I started middle school. Like it just I did not click to it at all. Just like the fact that you have like several classes and just got me all mixed up. Like I'd work on one class, get that class all A's, but I'd be failing like 3 other classes, so I'll be trying to get those ones done, so I'll fail the other class. And like it just gets really like frustrating and whatnot, and I'll just be like, yeah. So I dropped the school for 10th grade year, and I went to Minnesota Virtual High School. And then I did that for 10th grade year, and then I came back to this school because I got bored of that school, of being home all the time. The fact that I just needed to stay home. My little brothers were growing up, and they need babysitting, and I was failing all my classes at my former school, and like I was just like, oh, I'm getting all F's here, so I might as well just keep skipping class, and might as well just say forget it. The barriers at my former school, it would be like, big word, here's a textbook, do it on your own. They'll help you and whatnot, but then it's like very weird.
Derek knew he needed help and reluctantly went to the school counselor.
I don't really like trusting some counselors because I don't like opening up to new people. So, I don't know, it was hard for me to get help because especially back then at my former school, like I used to always have a big thing with asking for help. Like that was such a big thing. Like I used to be like, oh, if you ask for help, like you're slow, or you ask for help, people will think you're slow. Like I didn't want that to like occur to me or anything. So I was just...
The final straw came in a heated meeting with Derek, his mom, and the school counselor.
My former school, we had a counseling meeting, and me and my mom walked in, and they told me that I wasn't going to be able to graduate until I'm probably around 30-ish. And my mom got very upset about that and started yelling at the teacher, made me go into the other room, and so she can just yell at the teacher. And then my mom got all upset and was like, you're getting out of this school.
After an extended school search, Derek enrolled in an alternative high school. He liked the smaller classes, and help was easier to find.
Like I said before, like they break stuff down so it's a lot easier to learn, and like the classes are a lot more secluded. Like there's not that big huge group of people there to like distract you. There's only like about like 10 people maximum in each class, and like that's really easy for me because like I'm not good at being a part of like big groups and whatnot. Like I like working by myself and I can get work done. Like if I'm with a group, I'm distracted, I'll fail. If I'm by myself, I'll get it done, I won't fail. And that's what I like about this school.
I just remember the FBI coming into our home, and I don't know if they had mistaken me for my mother or not, but they had 5 guns pointed to my head, and my brother and sisters were hiding behind the couch. And that day I went to St. Joe's, and I found out that it had been raided due to the guy my mom was involved with selling drugs, and she had to go to prison for conspiracy, and that's how I wound up in care.
After a long stay in a shelter, Shamika and her siblings tried to enter foster care with their grandparents. The grandparents refused until they learned they could receive a monthly stipend.
My freshman year in high school, I was still trying to adapt to not having my mom at home, so I didn't have the best attitude in school. My sophomore year, my grandparents moved us out of state, so that went downhill. My sophomore year was a complete blowout. I don't think I received any of my credits, if but one. By junior year, I was supposed to have 48 credits. I had 6.
Shamika came back to Minnesota, moved in with her aunt, and started to make up credits.
In my senior year, I had about 12 credits starting out the year, and I believe I made up 6 credits in 1 month. just applying myself online. They were long courses, but I had nothing but time. And then the following semester, I believe I made up an additional 8 credits, and then I realized, okay, I'm catching up, I'm making progress, but it's not enough, and I won't be able to walk with all my friends. I won't be able to receive that diploma like they are, and I almost didn't even want to experience a prom or the senior all-night parties and things like that just because I didn't feel like I deserved it. So I decided to drop out. My English teacher, that was the teacher that told me my junior year that I should probably go and get my GED and go straight to college. Because I had to grow up fast, and being in high school, some of the people that were there were not necessarily behind me, but they hadn't experienced the life that I had to experience. And so when they were 17, they got to be 17. And when I was 17, I was supposed to be 22. The last day of school, I didn't go to school. I went and took the actual GED test, and I had some money set aside to pay for it. And that's what I did. And 2 weeks later, I got a call saying that I had passed the test. Not only did I get passing scores, but I got flying colors on the test, and I had done so well. I was in the 98th percentile for the test takers.
Shamika is now a consultant. She works to develop independent living skills with youth who have aged out of foster care, are emancipated, or have children.
I went through 7 different programs, and at the very end, I was recommended to go to a sober school.
Dan was a student on a roller coaster. One day, a bright model student, and the next, asleep, his head down on the desk.
I had been struggling with my addiction and depression and anxiety, and really couldn't focus on any of my schoolwork very well. And the hopeless mental state that I was in really didn't allow me to get my work done. So I believe I might have gotten 2 credits that first year when I was trying to kind of adopt a recovery-oriented lifestyle. I needed to be apart from all the people that I was around, and I couldn't really manage multiple things at once very well. I couldn't, think about my science and math and my homework from all those different classes, and being able to get the work done, because I guess I'm just kind of a perfectionist, and I like to go in depth into things. And the other perspective, looking at me, what can you do to help me out? Because I can recall, I believe multiple times in 7th and 8th grade in middle school, I had meetings with teachers. They were telling me that I had a lot of potential, and they told me I had an analytical mind and that it was working well for me, that I could do things on the test, but I wasn't getting work done, and they wanted me to work on some things.
Friends and counselors encouraged Dan to go to treatment.
Well, actually, it was mostly up to me. My parents didn't want to send me to treatment, but I wanted to. I thought it was necessary, and eventually my parents agreed, and it worked out.
Dan spent the next years in a sober school. He graduated and is now enrolled in a local community college.
Dad, come here.
My turning point was my son. And I told myself I want to feel like a grown man, because once you have a kid, you have to grow up a lot faster.
Bernard and his son Leandre play together daily. A real father and son support team. Leandre, in his own way, has become an anchor for his dad. Bernard's troubles, like many other students, began in middle school. As a sixth grader in California, his life was surrounded by drugs and gangs.
My big brother was in a gang, and I was young. I didn't really care about it. I knew it was there and what it was around. My whole family at that time were in a gang. And the area that I was in, lived in, was a gang territory. There was one day I was walking home from school and I got beat up by this gang member, and he came and just hit me and he broke my jaw. And after that, it woke me up to a lot of things that went around in my area. My mom and my stepdad was always gone, and I had to take care of my brothers and my sisters. And it was, I didn't understand anything then. It got to me actually seeing that my mom was on drugs, my mom was on crack, my stepdad was on crack, and it hurt in a way, but then again, I didn't understand it, and we moved to live with my aunt, and my dad was in prison, and my mom moved to Mississippi. They didn't have custody rights. So that was a big stress. I probably didn't know it was stressful at the time because I was so young, but not being able to see my mom, like, I cried for no reason.
Bernard moved to Mississippi to be with his mom. His ninth grade year started well. However, things at home were changing. The drug abuse had started again, and the grown-ups were back on crack. At the end of the school year, his stepfather moved the family to Minnesota, and Bernard enrolled in a West Suburban high school where he met his girlfriend, Erin.
10th grade year, I wasn't really caring about school. I didn't care about Minnesota and really didn't care about anything. And I think it took me to half of the year going to school, which I really started caring because Erin was pregnant at the time and I wanted to better myself for my son and my girlfriend at the time.
Erin was attending an alternative school. Bernard wanted to be with Erin, so he enrolled in the same school.
I started with the mothers, so I was in every class she had to take. I had to take everything. I go on breaks, I go feed my son with her. And then after that, it was like grades are better.
Bernard was working both night and day at his job. With a new baby at home, he was feeling stressed. Bernard went back to Mississippi.
And while I was in Mississippi, I went back to school because they start in August. And once I got into their school, they wanted me to go back to the 10th grade from going to the 12th. So I was like, I can't go to school.
Bernard considered dropping out of school and getting his GED, but instead he returned to Minnesota to be with Erin and Leandre. He continued his classes at the alternative school.
Oh, you missed.
Bernard earned certificates for certified nursing and home health care and is now working in the medical field. He's saving money for college. In order to be with Leandre, he continues to live in an apartment with Erin and her mother.
2, 2, 3, 6.
More than 3,800 students drop out of school each year in Hennepin County. There are 17 school districts in Hennepin County. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? All our kids are all our kids.